Today, for those of you that I haven't had the pleasure to meet yet, my name is Chris Buzzelli. I'm the Supervisor of Fitness Operations and Administration over with TriHealth's Corporate Health Department. I also have a master's degree in nutrition education and a certified personal trainer certificate. I've been lucky enough to be a part of the TriHealth organization for 7 years as of last week, so legally we are partners by the eyes of Ohio, which is cool to say. But I'm here today with the privilege to talk to you all about how we can fit in fitness into our busy days. So sit back, relax, we're going to learn some things, and we're going to jump in right to it now. So, exercise 101, the basics. We have three major types: cardiovascular exercise, aka cardio; resistance training, aka weight training, probably the two most popular; and then last but not least, sometimes forgotten, that third type, or stretching, or our flexibility and mobility. So we're going to put all three of these to the test right now. So those of you with me, let's stand up. We're going to do 3 quick exercises to tag all 3 of these. So stand up with me. I'm going to sneak over here and demonstrate. The first one we're going to do is 10 chair squats. So have that chair behind you if you need it, but all we're going to do is feet shoulder width apart, angle those toes out slightly, reach those hips back to a little squat position, right back up, and we're going to do 10. So that's 1 and 2. Beautiful. 3. Nice. 4, 5, there we go. Feeling it yet? 6, 7, 8, 2 more, 9, last one, 10. Nice job. All right, that's our, which piece do we think?
I would say flexibility and cardio a little bit.
A little bit of all 3, actually. You're right. So we were trying to target the resistance training. We were moving our body weight there, but we did touch a little bit all 3. So now we're going to really focus in on that cardiovascular piece, and we're going to do some good old-fashioned jumping jacks. So for those of you that are a little bit more mobile, we can leave our feet, jump up. For those of you that maybe have some injuries, I want you to step out to the side with one leg, step out to the side with the other leg.
Is this the fit-in?
Come on in. Yes, this is the fit-in, fitting in fitness.
Hi.
Hello, welcome. So we're getting right into it. We're already tapping a little bit of these exercises here we're talking about now. We did some squats, now we're going to do some jumping jacks. So when you're ready, jump in with us. We're going to do 10. 3, 2, 1, go. 1, 2, 3, good. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2 more, 9, 10. Whoo, are we sweating yet? Not yet, good. That means we're just getting warmed up. So we did our cardio, we did our resistance training. Let's tag the last one here with our stretching or our flexibility. And all we're going to do is take our right leg in front of us, reach it out slightly, point that toe to the ceiling, bend our left leg slightly, reach our right hand down towards that toe, feel a nice stretch in the back of our leg. If you can get to that toe, great. If you need to stop at the shin, even better. Just hang out there. We're going to hold this for 15 seconds. And we're already at 10. 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. Stand up. We're going to do the same thing the other side. So reach that left leg out, heel to the floor, toes to the sky. Bend that right knee slightly. Reach that left hand down. Stop at the shin if you need to. Otherwise, continue on to that toe. Finishing strong here. Already at 10. 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. All right, now we can take a seat, get comfortable, strap in. We're already rocking and rolling here. So, see, we're good. So that's exercise 101. Those are our 3 basics. We're going to continue on with what is exercise versus physical activity. Can anyone tell me what the difference is?
Heart rate, maybe?
Close.
What did you say?
Heart rate.
Heart rate isn't a factor.
Physical activity.
Yeah, it's not a trick question. The answers are on the board. So physical activity is anything that contributes to our overall health, any type of movement. So think movement. Exercise improves specifically our physical fitness. So that's those 3 pieces that we talked about before. 5 major parts of physical fitness: muscular strength, muscular endurance, flexibility, cardiovascular endurance, and body composition. So why is it important to distinguish between these 2? Because oftentimes people associate exercise with their health and not simply physical activity with their overall health. And we'll talk about why that's important here in a second. But let's go back to each piece of this. And again, we're going down the rabbit hole here of the why behind exercise, behind physical fitness, before we can understand why it's important to fit it into our day. So starting with cardiovascular health, this is any exercise that is done over a period of time, preferably rhythmically, like running, walking, those sorts of things, that increases your heart rate. Our goal, and the American Heart Association agrees with us, that we want about 150 minutes or more per week. Anyone have any good forms of cardiovascular exercise that they'd like to perform already? Not now, but would you like to do typically?
Zumba.
Zumba's a great one. We're moving and shaking.
Running.
Running.
walking.
All important
Steps.
things. Steps, just movement. I love it. So there's two forms that you guys each described here. So we'll start with the top one, high impact cardiovascular. That's any type of movement that's having both feet off the ground at some point during the exercise, hence that high impact. That's typically running, Zumba, depending on how crazy you're all getting with some of those dance moves, jumping rope, any type of explosion type movements is that high impact. It's great for getting that heart rate up. It's great for tapping certain muscle groups. But for those of us that are in for the long haul, or if we're dealing with an injury, low impact cardiovascular training is probably what we want to look at. That's any type of aerobic activity where one foot is kept on the ground at all times. It's a little less intense, so you could do it longer, a little lower this is the risk of injury. And that includes things like walking, hiking, low impact movements, really good for the joints and overall health.
Do low impact, do you burn as much or as many calories as you were doing a high impact?
It's a great question. So it depends on the movement. So let's use your two examples, walking and running. Walking compared to running, you will not burn as many calories simply by the form of that movement, the intensity involved.
So how fast you walk?
Correct. That's what I was just going to say. But there are ways to increase the intensity while still keeping the movement low impact.
Hand weight?
Hand weights are a great one. The one I like to incorporate into my own routine is increasing the incline on a treadmill. So putting it up to 5%, 10%, walking up hills. You can use your driveway for that. Cincinnati is a pretty hilly place too. I'm sure you can find plenty of hills around here. But incorporating higher intensity pieces to that low impact movement will still get your heart rate up to a zone where it'll burn almost as many, if not the same, as if you were doing a high impact exercise. But great question. Any others?
Do you make a distinction between walking on a track and treadmill?
Define distinction. So do you mean in terms of intensity, impact?
Benefit.
Benefit would be the same if, like, let's say you're walking a mile on an indoor track versus a mile on a treadmill. Roughly the same. You know, you're not increasing the elevation at all. And I mean, on a treadmill, obviously you could, but typically you're probably going to keep it flat. So as long as all those variables are the same across the board, your heart rate should be the same, the caloric expenditure should be the same, wear and tear in your joints will be the same. So overall health impact, it should be the same. As long as you're moving, it's going to be positive. Does that kind of answer that question a little bit? What was your fear as to why one is versus the other?
Well, there's the trainer here that says they are different. So
They are different.
It has something to do with the, like if you on an outdoor track and it has that astroturf.
A little bit
it's
softer.
easier on your knees.
That's true.
Versus if you are on an outside running the street, that concrete.
Much worse for your
Much
joints, your
worse
knees,
for
your
you.
hips, your ankles.
But on the treadmill, you got the rubber, so. but
True.
I'm asking the question.
No, you're right on par with it. So it again, the difference comes down to what exactly you're looking for. But for overall health benefit, I'd say it's pretty negligible. Wow, try saying that. But about the same, right? You're not getting, 10% better with a treadmill versus walking on a track. Now, if it's in terms of, as you touched on, joint health, injury risk, if you're on an outdoor track, if it's cold, if it's wet, things like that can play a factor versus a treadmill. But if it's you should walk on a track versus a treadmill just because it's better, in my personal opinion, I would say they're about the same. So let's jump on to the next piece of that puzzle, which is the weight training. Now, weight training or resistance training is not only my favorite part of the three-prong approach there, but also increased research has shown that it is vital, not just for everybody, but as we age, could be the single most important thing that will prolong our longevity on this earth, and we'll go into the why behind that here shortly. But resistance training is defined as lifting against a resistance or gravity to the point of muscle fatigue. Does anyone have any good examples of some resistance training?
use the bands,
Bands are a great one. Resistance bands.
weights,
Weights, dumbbells, barbells, plates.
and housework.
Housework. Yeah, it says anything like gravity against. So even our body weight, like those squats we did before, that was resistance training for our lower half there. Now the goal for resistance training is 2 to 3 times a week is what we like to see, what we recommend. If you can do more than that, great. Less than that, again, anything's better than nothing, but 2 to 3 is what we want to shoot for.
So 2 to 3 times a week, how long, like if you do it 2 times a week,
Mhm.
how many hours should you concentrate on lifting the weight?
Great question. We recommend about 30 to 60 minutes. It's a long time, right, per session, but we're going to go into how we can break that up. And I said 30 to 60 minutes. I stand by that, but I want it also to be noted that, again, the theme of today, and we'll touch on this again later, anything is better than nothing. So if you can get in 10 minutes of resistance training, better than 0 minutes. If you can get in 20, I'll take that over 10. 30 to 60 is that kind of generic generalization that most people can fit into, just because to get adequate stimulus from the resistance training for your muscles to get that benefit, you're going to need to put in somewhere in that time frame. Does that make sense? Perfect. So, last but not least to our puzzle, flexibility, mobility, aka stretching. And this is just the lengthening of muscle to improve range of motion in any group of joints. So this can be from standing up at your desk after a long day, or maybe off the toilet if you were down there too long and you're stretching that back, to more dynamic stretching, which we'll talk about here right now. So first and foremost is static. That's the one we did at the beginning, where we placed our foot out front and we held a stretch for about 15 to 60 seconds. This is best to be performed after exercise, whereas dynamic, this is more fluid stretching. So this is when you see, if you're at a Bengals game or a basketball game or any type of sporting activity, and you see the players warming up before. They're moving. It looks like they're doing some holds or some stretches, but they're fluid throughout it. We want to make that important part of our warm-up before exercise, so it gets the muscles warm, it gets the blood flow in there, we're ready to work, whereas static is better afterwards as a cool down. So a great little tool to kind of remember that is, where is it here? Give me one moment. Hi, welcome. Pick a seat. Pick a seat. An easy way to remember the difference, as I said, is dynamic, we do it first, and static, we save it for after. Cool? All right, speaking of cool, I love this graphic. It's a little outdated, I'll admit, but it does a great job of explaining what we're trying to look for. So I'm sure most of us, if not all, are familiar with the food pyramid, where the bottom is what we want the most of, and the top is where we want the least of. Well, we've kind of flipped that a little bit to the activity pyramid. And so you'll see in the bottom here, this is the lifestyle activities. These are things we do in our daily life, think everyday movements that are going to benefit us. These are typically low impact, these are typically low intensity, but it's movement that gets our body moving to help us continue to burn those calories, stay active, stay mobile. These include walking, taking the stairs. It has bowling on there. I don't know, many of you are bowlers out here, but that's a great low impact activity. But just think movement at the bottom. Then we work our way up to the next run, and that's active sports, active activities, aerobic activities. You're moving a little bit more. This is biking, this is running, this is swimming, Zumba, basketball, any type of more dynamic, fluid movement. A little more intense than the bottom rung, but it's not an all-out thing. That we want to shoot for about 3 to 5 times a week, so we're raising that heart rate up a little bit. Up after that is a little bit more intense. So this is your push-ups, your weightlifting, gymnastics, yoga, a little bit more intense. It needs a little bit more time for your body to recover afterwards, so we want to shoot to do that about 2 to 3 times a week. And then at the very top of the pyramid, we're not trying to highlight these things. This is the area that we want to cut down on, and this is the sedentary items that we typically find ourselves doing. So if it's on our phone on the couch, watching TV, sitting in bed watching TV, those are typically the areas we do those things. We want to try to limit that and increase the rest. Sound good?
Yes.
Beautiful. Well, as you'll see as we continue on here, I'm a big fan of saying slogans, things to remember by. So how do we fit all this in? We just talked about the why exercise is important and some of the importance of each part of exercise. But why is it important? And why do we need to fit this all in? It's because for those of us that think that we don't have time to exercise, sooner or later, we're going to have time for illness. And as we'll hear shortly, exercise has been shown to be the one constant, cure-all, save-all medicine that help keep us moving, keep us living longer. So again, how do we fit this all in? Well, exercise doesn't have to be all or nothing. We kind of touched on that before with the 30 to 60 minutes. A lot of us get that in our head that it's I have to spend an hour in the gym, and if I don't have that hour, I'm not even going to go to the gym today. I'll try tomorrow. I'll try Monday. Oh, January 1st is coming up. I'll try again then. No, we don't want to push things off. We don't want to wait. We don't want this all or nothing approach. So it doesn't have to be that 60 minutes. More and more research has come out, and as one study in particular has shown that 3 separate 10-minute sessions is the equivalent or has the same overall health benefit of one 30-minute continuous session. So you could go to the gym, you could do your 30 minutes on the treadmill, or let's say you only have 10 minutes to walk around your block before your kids get home, or you have 10-minute call for work and you can walk up and down your office or around a big conference table like this. 10 minutes broken up throughout the day has the same benefit as 30 minutes continuous. And this can be extrapolated into if my math is right here, 4 15-minute sessions versus a 60-minute workout. See where I'm going with this? So think small to get started is still, again, better than nothing. So if you don't believe me and my credentials I shared with you at the beginning, I brought in a couple friends here to hopefully share their wisdom with you. This first one is from Dr. Peter Attia. I hope this loads. Oh, it is. I hope we have volume. Looks like we do. And he is one of the foremost experts on longevity. He was a cancer researcher. Let's see if I can get this mouse over here. And he's going to talk to us about why exercise is so important. Can you guys hear that okay?
So if you're a person who's in the doing 0 exercise per week camp, the very good news is the benefit you get from going from 0 to 3 hours a week is a greater benefit than anyone gets along the exercise curve. Taking someone who's at 5 hours and taking them to 15 will produce less relative benefit than going from 0 to 3. So in other words, I want that person to see some real incentive for making this change. Secondly, I'll put some numbers to it. Right. So going from no exercise to 3 hours a week approximately reduces your all-cause mortality, that is to say death, by every cause, by 50% at any moment in time. So if you're standing there asking, what's the probability I'm going to die this year? Well, we can sort of actuarially figure that out. You get to cut that number in half by simply going from 0 to 3 hours exercise a week if you're a non-exerciser.
Hello, everyone. Today I'm speaking with
So let's pause that here.
Expert, and now.
And so does everyone see what he's kind of hinting at there or touching on? That simply by exercising more, if you're a sedentary person, you're going from 0 to 3 hours a week. Again, that can be broken up into 3 days for an hour, 5 days for 30 minutes. There we go, our math team here. Can reduce your all-cause mortality by 50%. Again, that's your cardiovascular disease, metabolic disease, cognitive disease. All these different things can be cut in half just by exercise. Not a pill, not a medication, exercise. This next doctor I'm going to share with you is Dr. Andrew Huberman, and he's also going to touch on another awesome benefit of exercise.
One of the most powerful ways to stimulate epinephrine, which is also called adrenaline.
This one's a little bit longer, so bear with me.
Excess fat, and to thereby stimulate more fat mobilization and oxidation is through movement. And I'm not talking about exercise. There was a group in England during the 1960s and 70s that discovered a pathway by which subtle forms of movement can greatly increase fat loss. They were aware that some people overeat and yet don't put on weight. Other people overeat even just a little bit and they seem to accumulate extra adipose tissue. Now this is long before all the discussions about microbiome and hormone factors, and it's long before many of the hormone factors besides insulin had even been discovered. What they did was they examined people who overate and did not gain weight. And what they observed was that those people engaged in lots of subtle movement throughout the day. In other words, they were fidgeters. That's what they called them. What they found were people that overeat but don't gain weight as a consequence. And in fact, many people who had low levels of body fat had a lot of resting tremor, not of the Parkinsonian type. When they would talk, they would engage in very angular movements. They were sort of electric. Fidgeters, people that bounce their knee, people that have a head bob while they're listening, people that nod a lot, people that stand up and sit down a lot throughout the day, and people that pace burn anywhere from 800 to 2,500 calories more than the control group in the experiments that they looked at. And indeed, there's been a modern look into all this, and these numbers.
So that's where I want to stop it with him right there. That last little factoid. Do we catch that?
Yeah.
How
Is it because you're exerting oxygen by moving this much? And
that there's many factors in there. I'm sure he could do a better job explaining it to you than I am, but simply the point I think he's trying to drive home there is just the movement. It's just moving more, your muscles firing, you're breathing more, your body has to burn more calories to get it to move, is going to contribute so much more to your overall health than being sedentary. So how do we fit that into our day? How do we find the time to do that? Well, we have to try to use time to our advantage. So we talked about the why it's important. We had two friends of ours drive that home. Now we want to talk about little tips and tricks that we can do that. And I'm going to go around the room and ask you all to kind of share some with me if you do have any. But here's some that I was able to come up with. Simple ones that we probably have all heard before. Park farther away if you're at the grocery store or at the office. Take the stairs instead of an elevator. Fun fact, my girlfriend is afraid of elevators, so we've been taking the stairs all the time, and I can truly attest. Legs feel better, back feels better, I feel better, so that's a great little tip right there. Meeting a coworker, or if you have a work call, especially with all the Zooms and things we have, you can take those mobile. Have a walking meeting. If you have kids or grandkids, get active with them. Go to the park and play. Go for a hike with all the trails we have around here. So many different ways that we can get active and get moving. Anyone, anytime, anywhere. What about you all? Do you have any examples that you like to use?
I do stairs all the time.
Stairs all the time. Again, a fellow stair person. High five.
I take I work full time, so you get 2 15-minute breaks.
Yes.
And when I do my 15-minute break, I make it a point to go somewhere and walk around the building, a couple of laps, or in a park close to me. So I try to do that on my 2 15-minute breaks.
I
Try to
love
use
that.
15 minutes.
That's to get moving. Plus, it's a nice change of pace, a nice change of scenery. You're out of the office. You can get some time to yourself to think.
When it's cold like today.
Yeah.
I desk and do leg exercise.
That's good. That's even better. I love that.
Yeah.
Bob, I think you were about to say something there. No? No? Sorry, I thought I saw you jumping at the opportunity. I haven't caught your name yet, but thanks for coming. Anything you like to do?
I mean, what about housework? Like when I'm doing the laundry.
I was just going to say that.
Washing dryers in the basement.
So you're going up and down those stairs. You're carrying those heavy loads. Fun, quick story. So I said at the beginning, I'm a certified personal trainer. A lot of the clients I work with some of our corporate partners are in that 40 to 65 age range. And they come to me with the typically same goals. I want to lose weight. I want to look better, all these great things. But the thing I've noticed in my over 10 years now of doing this is that some of the truest and most satisfying results that they've all had has been things like that, where, I used to pick up the laundry basket and it was a chore to get up and down the stairs. Now I throw it over my shoulder and I can go up, down, or I can carry 2, or I carry the groceries all in with 1 bag. It's those little wins throughout the day that make those daily activities easier, that go so long. But to answer your question, or to reiterate your point, it's things that sometimes we don't think about that can have the greatest benefit in us overall. So that's a great example. For those of us that have lawn care, not this time, luckily, with it being this cold, cutting the grass. A lot of people are switching to those riding mowers, which if I had one, I would probably switch to it too. But a good old push mower is a great way to kind of burn those extra calories. But think throughout your day, and you don't have to do it now, maybe when you're driving home or something, think of all the movement you do throughout the day, and remember that is contributing to your health. It doesn't have to be in here, in the gym, lifting those weights. It can be simple movements like that. So remember, something is always better than nothing. Some at-home options for our 3 different categories that we touched on before. We can take a walk around the block, up and down the driveway for that incline, stationary bikes, anything for at-home equipment. I'll throw this little tidbit out. I'm not sponsored by them, but Facebook Marketplace, great opportunity to find cheap, often quality, exercise equipment. So it could be treadmills, it could be a stationary bike, resistance bands, dumbbells. There's a lot of things out there. You'd be surprised, and it's not, it won't hurt your wallet either. Fun plug, though, for a company I do work for, the TriHealth Fitness YouTube channel. I've got it plugged for all 3, myself and some fellow coworkers during the COVID pandemic and post. Created a YouTube channel for all our partners, yourselves included, to go on. We did classes, we do informational things like this, but feel free to log into that, check out some time for some cardiovascular activity. Resistance training, we did the body weight squats at the beginning. Think about doing those during the commercials, whether it's car commercials or any commercials. I know a lot of us have switched to the streaming services, so there's not many commercials in those, but believe you me, for those of us that still watch TV, there's a lot of commercials out there. Up and down the stairs, make it a workout. So if you're doing laundry and you finish, hit those stairs maybe a couple more times. Start with 5. I go down 1, down up is 1, down 1, down 2 is 2. Start with 5, see if you can get 10. You'd be amazed at what kind of benefit you could get, or frankly, how that heart rate will go up just by doing that a couple times. Stretching, again, that's often forgotten third piece, but very, very important, very, very vital. While we're walking around or sitting on the phone, say you're stuck at your desk and you can't get away, and you're on a call or you're in a meeting, those simple stretches we did. TriHealth YouTube channel also has some great stretches on there, or reach out to me, reach out to your coordinator from the CSC. We'd be happy to send some stuff to you or talk about even more.
Is this on our website?
This will be. We're recording it now. But if you have any questions, I'm going to share my information at the end. You guys now have me as a resource in your pocket. You'll have my phone. You'll have my email. Shoot me an email, text anytime. I'm here at your disposal. But take 5 minutes to stretch before you get out of bed. You know, I don't know about you, but I probably am overdue for a new mattress. So mine is definitely a 5 to 10 minute stretch when I get up out of that thing. But sneaking in those little minutes here or there go a long way. And as I said, I want you to think about this, whether it's now, on your way home, later tonight. But the most important thing when it comes to fitting in our day, and it sounds like you touched on before, when you have a busy day, is to make a plan. The 5 Ps, proper preparation prevents poor performance. So we want to make sure we have a plan. So you can put it in your calendar. You can tell your friends, I'm going to start focusing more on exercise this year. Pack your bag the night before. Again, fun story about me, maybe TMI. Whenever I want to work out that day, guys could probably relate to this more, I have compression shorts as my undergarments, underwear. I wear those rather than normal undergarments because I know I've got the first step into my workout outfit on. So it's easier for me to go put on a workout shirt or workout shorts and go to the gym. Again, a little weird, a little TMI, but those little things you can do by planning ahead can help lay the groundwork to make that decision to go do something a little bit easier. Does anyone else do anything strange or weird like that? Don't make me feel alone.
I used to keep a workout bag in the trunk of my car, and I used to have one up under the desk. I'm not working out as before. I've not done as much as I used to in the past since COVID.
Okay.
I have not worked out, but I always kept a workout bag in my trunk and at my desk.
That's
Never-
great.
Sometimes I was like, if I feel like going to work out after work, I have my stuff there.
It's already there, absolutely. Another one that reminded me of another one I do is when I'm driving home from work and I really don't want to go, I drive to the gym and I sit in the parking lot and I try to ask myself that question again, like, do you really not want to go now that you're here? And if the answer is yes, then okay, go home. But 9 out of 9 times when I'm there, it's like, well, I'm already here. I might as well go do something. And you start with those little wins. You know, I'm going to go walk on the treadmill for 10 minutes. At least I did something today. Now you're starting to feel a little better. Okay, I'm going to go lift some weights for another 10 minutes. Oh, all right, I'm feeling good. Oh, there's a person I know. Let's go talk to them. Or, oh, there's an attractive person over there. Let me go lift over there. Whatever it is to keep you going, those little wins, those little plans go a long way. Speaking of little, though, we touched on it before, the 3 10-minute sessions, the 4 15-minute sessions. I want you to think of those as micro workouts. They're little short things. I'm going to go over a couple of them here. Just some examples for us to think, how can we fit these little workouts into our day? So intervals, does anyone know what intervals? You heard that term before? Perfect. Basic reps are a form of counting an exercise or basically counting an exercise. Intervals are the number of times you do those. So think sets, think intervals. But intervals is a way of creating your own little workout to raise an intensity level, to sneak it in your day, try to make it a little bit faster. So for an example of cardio, you could do 2 minutes of walking, 1 minute of either walking uphill or jogging or even running, and you rotate those 3, 4, 5 times. Boom, there's your 10, 15 minutes. It's simple. It's a 2-to-1 ratio. You're done. That was it. Another one for if we're looking at resistance training, same concept. 10 squats like we did at the beginning, 10 push-ups. You could either be on your toes, you could use your knees if you need, or even a wall. But 10, 10, 10, do that 5 times, build up to 10. Now you just did 50 to 100 reps. Takes us no time at all. Again, these little things we can sneak in the day are going to go a long way. Some other short little interval practical examples. You can cycle or run at a high intensity for a minute, follow with a little bit of longer rest. If you're on elliptical, same thing. If you're up to a challenge, the 1-to-1 ratio as you build. So this, if you look up here, is 1 to 3. So 1 minute's hard, 3 minutes, 1 minute hard, 3 minutes not so hard. And you can build up to that 1-to-1, 1 minute on, 1 minute off. That just, again, raises that intensity level, shortens the amount of time we have to do something, sneak it in our day just like that. Any questions so far on intervals? Because we're about to ramp it up a little bit. Once we build that foundation, we get those building blocks, that 1 minute on, 1 minute off is too easy. We don't know where else to go. That's where our friend high intensity interval training comes in, or the more popular phrase to call it is HIIT. Sometimes you feel like you got hit when you're done doing a HIIT exercise. But HIIT exercises can be whatever you want them to be. It can be cardiovascular. It can be resistance training. But it's 20, typically, it can vary with the time, but typically it's 20 seconds of high intensity exercise with 10 seconds of rest, all the way up to 1 minute of high intensity exercise to 2 minutes of rest. So if we're going to click on this little sample routine here to see what it looks like, just to start. Oh, who's that guy? So this is a sample video from our TriHealth YouTube channel. Let's jump ahead here as Brad and I start sweating. So it's squatting for 10 to 20 seconds, and then you vary the exercise to something else, and away you go. But it's 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off, could be 30 seconds on, 15 seconds off.
What if you had, like, as low as you were going on your squat?
Mm-hmm.
What if you, like, I had a personal trainer who tore my knee up.
Okay, so if you notice the chairs in this video, and again, everyone's training style is different, so I wasn't not sure what your trainer was looking. But if you do have any knee pain or leg pain like that, chair is a great way to become your friend. It limits your range of motion and hopefully will take some of that impact or that pressure off your knee.
But would it ever get better, my knee?
So this is going to sound a little crazy, but believe it or not, squats, lunges, things like that, even if we decrease that range of motion for you, is actually going to be one of the only things that can improve the strength and quality of your knee. So you notice me using the chair right there. So the chair, still kind of low. You could put a pillow on top of it to raise it up, so now you're not even going as low again. You could use the edge of a couch. You could use a table here, for example. I'm going to go a little mobile for those of us watching at home. But if you notice the table here, it's obviously higher than a chair. You get in your squat form, touch, right back up. So at least you're getting something here. You're activating those glutes and hamstrings, but it's a lot less impact or pressure on that knee. Does that make sense? All right, that's enough of these two crazy guys. I'll tell you all what, we had some fun doing these videos. So if you get a chance later, I highly recommend, if you want a good laugh and a workout, to check those guys out. Oh, so how do we sum it up quickly? Well, the key to fitting in fitness is something is better than nothing, right? That's what I've said probably 10 or more times today. All those little things that we can do, whether it's the laundry at home, house chores, walking around our office on our 15-minute breaks, or you two that have more structured exercise plans, all those little things add up, and it's important that we continue to do those. We also want to remember to try to sneak in short bursts of those high-intensity sessions that we talked about, especially once we get in that routine, we've built that habit of short little workouts. We want to raise that intensity up over time. We want to continue to push that level up so that we don't get complacent and things don't get too easy. A great example I like to use, and I don't want to pick on them, but it's just something that we can all kind of visualize, is a construction worker or a landscaper. You know, these are guys and gals that are on their feet all day, moving around. They get 20,000 steps probably, but yet, you know, sometimes they have a big belly or they look a little out of shape, and you're thinking to yourself, how the heck is that guy or girl look like that when they do the job they do? And that's because even with that type of activity level, their body gets used to it, and if they don't do more, then that's one of the outcomes, right? So if you're walking a mile a day and that's your level, great, continue to do that, better than nothing. But if you want to slowly build and continue to get better, you have to continue to add just a little bit to that. Does that make sense? For those construction workers and landscapers watching at home.
Well, they eat like hell and they drink too much.
There we go. There's also the other contributing factors that if we had more time, we could go into nutrition and alcohol. But we're just talking about exercise today. And then last but not least, remember to change it up. You know, it's great to have a routine. It's great to do things that we love, but sometimes it's good to make our body guess what's next. Change those intensity levels like we talked about. Change the activity itself, whether it's walking, Zumba, things like that. It's going to make it more fun, it's going to make it more engaging, and it gives you something to kind of look forward to. Plus, if you don't like it, you can always go back to the thing you love. So for that, I would say thank you. Appreciate your time, your patience. Thanks for showing up. Two quick things. One, like I said throughout today, I love my little sayings and quotes. 4% is only a 1-hour workout, 4% of your day. So if you can just give yourself 4% or less of your day, you have plenty of time to do the other things you got to do. Questions, comments?
You know, increasing the effort, or whatever term you use,
Yeah.
ultimately, isn't there a threshold that you hit a threshold?
Absolutely. So you're eventually, I don't want to put anyone in a box or tell you there's limits to it, but eventually you're going to reach your limitation, whether it's your heart rate, whether it's your body can't keep up because of injury, history, age, whatever it might be, you'll reach that threshold. But pushing yourself to that limit each time and then giving yourself the proper amount of time to recover is what's going to contribute more positive benefits to your overall health than staying in your lane, put the cruise control on 55, and waiting for your exit, so to speak.
VO2 max.
VO2 max, exactly. VO2 max is shown, if you have time to go Google those two guys I had shared some videos with, they talk a lot about how important your VO2 max is. Without getting into the details of that, that's just basically your body's ability to process oxygen. The higher that level is, the overall benefit you'll see to your overall health. So that's something that we want to keep in mind, but that's how much time you got, because we're really going to get in the weeds on that. But to answer your question more directly, yes, there is a threshold. We want to know our limits. You know, pushing past them is only asking for disaster, injury, problems like that. But pushing right up into that as much as we can is what's going to contribute more positive effects.
Do you do VO2 max?
We do not. I can get you in touch with someone who does. We have ways, or I can share with you ways after this to get you an estimated. So 2 ways, quick ways, just because I love this stuff. The way to truly get it is you go to a clinic or a facility, they'll put you on a treadmill or a bike, they'll hook you up to this big mask with some tubes coming out of it, and what they do is they will push you to your absolute limit. So they'll put that treadmill at 3 miles an hour and they'll say jog for 2 minutes. They'll watch your heart rate, they'll put it up to 5 miles an hour, and they'll keep increasing that speed until you physically cannot perform anymore, and that's how they calculate your VO2 max. We have easier ways of doing that with age, height, other factors like that that we can kind of contribute. I can show you some wearable devices that also give you an estimate. My Garmin watch here, again, not a plug for Garmin, gives me an estimated VO2 max, which is kind of a nice little way to kind of measure where you're at or give you an idea of what you're at. But we can chat after
So
about it.
there are shortcut methods.
Yes, absolutely. Like this. There's always a short way to sneak it in.
What's VOT max?
VO2 max, so it's your volume of oxygen consumption. Again, there's a much more technical scientific definition, but it's basically your body's ability to process oxygen over the course of an aerobic event or an anaerobic event if you're working that hard.
When you go to the doctor, they measure the oxygen in your body.
Correct.
Something like that.
That's a form of it. So think you know, you mentioned to me before when you played sports. Think when you're running as hard as you can, your heart's beating out of your chest, you almost can't breathe. That limit, that's about the threshold of your VO2 max. Okay. So in that moment, if we had you hooked up to a system, we'd be able to see where you were at. Most people probably hang out between 40 or so, 40 to the low 50s. Low 50s is great. To give you a reference, not a plug on myself, but I'm about a 53, 54. Lance Armstrong, when he was winning his little races there, he was in the 90s, I believe, 90s to 100s. Again, we found out later Lance was using a few things to help him get to that number, but there are levels to it, and you just don't want to make sure you're at that lower level. Somewhere in that middle is where you want to be.
But you can improve your VO2 max.
Correct.
As your, ability to, as your aerobic conditioning improves, as you,
Get better as you do it more, as you get more consistent, it increases. Yeah.
And that as you go through your HIIT workouts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really, it's interval training is what does it.
Interval training is the best method to increase that VO2 max. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have a trouble doing push-ups.
Push-ups, okay.
Yes, and I know, like you said, you can do it on your toes, on your knees, up against. Is a wall push-up, is that as beneficial?
So I'll show you some ways after this, but just a quick answer for those that are listening at home too. Is it as beneficial as a regular push-up? I don't want to say no, because if all you can do is a wall push-up, again, what's the slogan from today? Anything's better than nothing. But that wall push-up is going to get you that foundation, and you do enough of those wall push-ups, you start building up that strength in your chest and your shoulders. Then we progress you to the ground where you're on your knees. We limit that range of motion until, again, you build up that strength. Now you're going a little deeper. Eventually you're on your toes, and you're getting that benefit. But correct. But the benefit is relative. A great endurance athlete once said he was doing these 100-mile races, and to him, a 100-mile race is hard. But to his, I think at the time, 82-year-old mother, she would join him for the last 5K. And those 5Ks were hard for her. So hard or beneficial is relative. If all you can do with those wall push-ups, you're going to get a lot of benefit. Kind of touched on that video, if you remember, where he said people who went from 0 to 3 hours got way more benefit than someone who was going from 5 to 15. So if you can all you do those wall push-ups now, let's start there, enjoy those benefits, and then we'll slowly progress to more benefits. Anyone else? Any questions? Cool. Well, you have my information. Feel free to take a picture. I wish I had a card. It would make me feel cool. But any questions, comments, anytime, please feel free to reach out. I'll be happy to share anything I can. Or like I said, I've got the power of TriHealth behind me, and they'll be happy to help you as best we can. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Oh,